Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas and a great New Year, and now that we're in 2019, we're starting a brand new message series for a new year called The Secrets of Every Happy Family. And this is going to be a great series for us because it applies to everybody. We all have a family. We've all come from a family of some sort, though of course our experiences are pretty diverse. Some of you come from large families. Others of you are only children. A lot of us come from mid-sized families, maybe 2 to 5 kids. All those families are the same. At least they share things in common if you grew up like that. If you were the oldest in your family growing up, like me, you had to be the responsible one. You were the one your parents obsessed over because they didn't know what they were doing. And as a result, you now have OCD and you need therapy. If you were the middle child, you felt unloved. You felt overlooked and neglected. Well, guess what? That wasn't a feeling. It was a fact. But now you're 40 and you need to get over it. If you were the youngest, you got away with murder. You did whatever you wanted because by the time they got to you, your parents were exhausted. And you know what? You need to know this. The rest of us resent you. Some of us grew up in fairly traditional homes with a working dad and a stay-at-home mom. Some of us had 2 working parents or a single parent. Along with that, we're also at very different places currently when it comes to family. Some of you are unmarried, like me. So when we talk about family, you're thinking about your family of origin, your mom, your dad, brothers and sisters. Some of you are single, but one day you hope and plan to get married. So as we go through this series, you're going to be thinking about your future family. Maybe you're in the midst of raising kids right now. So as you go through this series, you're dealing with the real-time issues. Or perhaps you've already raised kids. And so as we go through this series, you're thinking about your role as grandparents or great-grandparents. Our experience of family, both past, present, and to come, are diverse for sure. But there is one thing that we all share in common. We all have very strong emotions when it comes to family. Father, mother, brother, sister, these are not emotionally neutral terms. Simply mentioning those words brings to mind concrete memories of specific people who have shaped our lives. Our family experience brings our greatest joy and our fondest memory. Our families can be the place where we can simply just be ourselves and not need to impress anybody or to pretend. On the other hand, our families can also be the source of our greatest wounds and of our deepest hurts and frustrations. And while we're known in our families, we can also be misunderstood there. We can be put into a box that doesn't understand our ability to grow and change. You know, we don't stay 12 forever. They can make us want to avoid our families altogether. It's that unmet expectation, those times that we're misunderstood, that tempt us to just want to give up on ever hoping to have a happy family. So let's just acknowledge that this is an emotionally charged topic. Also, the promise of this series is a big one. We're claiming to talk about the secrets of every happy family. It was the writer Leo Tolstoy who once said, "Every happy family is happy in the same way. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way." And what he meant, I think, is that when we get it wrong in limitless sorts of ways. But when we get it right, it's really very simple and basic. We don't propose to know all of the secrets of every happy family, but for the purpose of this series, we're going to look at 3 principles that are generally considered universally applicable. So over the course of this series, we're going to turn to these 3 principles. We're going to call them secrets again and again. But right now, I just briefly want to outline them for you. The first secret of a happy family is that they accept the messiness. They accept the messiness. They recognize that family life is messy, and they attempt to do that with grace and with flexibility. When it comes to our families, there's this huge gap between the ideal and the real. And that's always been the case, even if you look back into history. If you look at the stories of the families in the Old Testament, you can see this very, very clearly. They're all flawed, and they're all dysfunctional. In Adam and Eve's family, there was murder. In Noah's family, alcoholism. In Abraham's family, adultery. In David's family, incest. Later, when the nation of Israel descends into civil war, it's essentially a family squabble that gets the whole thing started. So let me just make an obvious statement here. There's no perfect people. Therefore, there are no perfect families. Every family is a collection of imperfect people. And it's a hard lesson to keep in mind because we always think that the grass is greener in somebody else's family. Just think back to the days when you were in school or in your university days. Your friends' families seemed so much more functional and fun. Their parents were so much cooler than your own. And for those of you who are married, when you first met your spouse's family, you thought they were great. And now, you know they're great. Really, honey, they're great. Yeah. Time and again, we are confronted with the imperfections of our family members. We know them better than anything, right? We have dinner with them. We go on vacations with them. We spend a lot of time with them. They can be frustrating. They can be annoying. They can be heartbreaking. Also, when it comes to our family members, we naturally have expectations of them too. We want their affection and their attention for sure, but we want more than that too. We want their approval, and we want their support. And when we don't get it, which happens all the time, we have a choice to make. We can hold their faults and their failures against them. We can start keeping score, which is always an entertaining thing to do. Or we can extend patience. We can overlook a fault and a failure. We can adjust our expectations. For example, I have learned this with my brother. I love my younger brother. I do. I love him and I appreciate him. And if you're watching this online, I want you to know that, Brian. He's not, by the way. But my mother is, and she'll call him right after she sees this. My brother is great. I love him. I admire him. We're 8 years apart in age, and that's a huge gap. I helped him learn to tie his shoes and to ride a bike and to play hockey. But then I moved away to university and then seminary, and we sort of drifted apart. I didn't get to visit as often as maybe I would have liked to, and I think he just doesn't get what I do and what I stand for and what I represent to the world, especially in a climate when the church is constantly in the news. And some people think that the church is just irrelevant or out of touch with society. And it's very frustrating to me. It's even made me a bit sad. I just didn't get it. Sometimes I still don't get it. But I'm coming around to recognize that he does support me in ways that he's good at and in ways that he can. And it was kind of fruitless for me to be looking for support in a way that wasn't going to be there and probably will never be there. Adjusting expectations can be incredibly helpful. Happy families accept the complications, the difficulties, and the messiness of our family relationships. And we're going to talk a lot about that through the course of this series. The second secret of a happy family is that they have mutual respect. Respect is everybody's job. And this begins first and foremost with an appreciation of God's authority. And that's a big one. You see, when parents give up their God-given spiritual authority over their family, they open family life up to all sorts of conflict and chaos. It's like leaving the front door of your house wide open all the time. You don't know who or what is going to come wandering through. Respect, first of all, has to be accorded to God's authority over our families. Next, it's about the spouses themselves. How you treat your spouse is huge when it comes to the happiness of the family. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. It all begins with the husbands. Guys, how you honor and respect your wife is the rudder of the ship that is your family. That is so important that I'm going to say that again. How you honor and respect your wife is the rudder of the ship that is your family. It will determine everything else. And you should hold yourself to a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to criticism and disrespect. Now, disagreement is different. That's inevitable. But it should be dealt with privately, quickly, and efficiently. And the same thing goes for wives, too. You know, when you put down your husband or you criticize him around your family or your friends, those words and that display of disrespect will do damage to your family. And it will hurt your kids, too. Now, I know that sometimes it is necessary to seek out advice from somebody else when it comes to your marriage and what's going on there. But complaint and gossip are different. And these should be off limits for both husband and wife. And be careful of sarcasm, too. Playful sarcasm is fine, but passive-aggressive is not. And you know the difference. If you have something to say, just say it. Next, how adult children treat their parents is also hugely important in the formation of the next generation. Your kids are carefully watching how you treat your parents. And in the process, they're learning how they're going to treat you. And it's funny, because my mom used to say that to me all the time as a kid. If you're bad to us, wait till you have kids. If respect is characterizing your interactions and your intentions with your parents, that will create an atmosphere in which children are learning and growing in an appropriate way. They will know how to do it. They absorb this stuff. They'll just know how to do it. The third secret of a happy family is a commitment to a larger purpose beyond themselves. A family that exists just for itself will never really be truly happy. The affection of a family bond is not enough to keep a family together, because the family is not just about the people in the family. The family is the basic building block of our society. As family relationships are, so too go the culture. And you can look around and see that, loud and clear. Without a healthy home environment, kids will turn to all kinds of things to find love, acceptance, and engagement. Healthy family relationships impact every aspect of our culture: business, education, government, medicine, and even public safety. For those of you with employees, you know well when people's families' life is healthy, because they're more productive and they're more successful at work. Teachers, you know that when students have the support and encouragement at home, you know when that's happening, because it shows in their schoolwork and in their interactions in the classroom. Good family relationships contribute to the quality of life for all of us. Today is the feast of the Epiphany. And it is a great feast in the life of the church. The Magi, sometimes called the kings, traveled thousands of kilometers, risking all sorts of danger and discomfort to eventually visit a family. Think about it. The destination of their epic journey is this simple and poor family: Mary, Joseph, and the child Jesus. And when they arrive, Scripture tells us, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. When you think about the stories of the Christmas season, the stories that we've been listening to, all the heroes and the saints, the villains, the miracles, the wonders, the angels, the center of this splendid story is a family. It's all about family. Joseph, who accepts the role of being the foster father of Jesus under the most unique of circumstances and with great courage. And he leads his family through some very difficult and dangerous situations. You got Mary, who accepts her role as a mother, and that shows her own courage, knowing that people will misunderstand and misinterpret the situation that she's in. Christmas celebrates the gift of salvation, God's action to save his people from sin and death. And that gift is given in the context of a family, in the courage of a man and a woman to undertake the courage and the challenge of family life. God chose to show his own love and care for the world through a family, because the family is an image and reflection of God himself and of his love for us. However imperfect our families might be, and the people in them, its imperfections and our frustrations with them point to our desire for something more. Ultimately, God is building a family of his own. And the best part about that is that we get to be a part of it.